A lot of people here. I'm really moved. No, I'm good with this. I'm really moved by how many people are here. I'm feeling a little bit emotional at the moment. I just want to tell you guys just a quick thing about why I fight so hard for this island. I moved to Maui from Japan. I married a Japanese man from a long line of fishermen. His family, generations and generations of fishing village. And we lived near Fukushima in Japan. And you guys know what happened in Fukushima. So we've seen the other side of this. We've seen what happens to a community when they let industry run over their people for the sake of jobs and money. It's not pretty. My husband's family can't fish anymore. They've lost their land. Whole thousands and thousands of people lost land that was in their family for generations. There is no more fishing in northern Japan. That's the breadbasket of Japan. And they can't use the land or the ocean anymore. And even after that happened, even after this triple meltdown that did all of this stuff, people still talked about the nuclear power industry and how it supplied jobs and money for the towns. And families are torn apart because of it. This is not something you can even fit on an economic spreadsheet. Communities and families are just ripped apart because of this. So this is why I fight so hard. I'm new to Maui, but I know what it looks like if we don't stand up to these guys. So that's why I do this. I put together some slides because I'm out into the community talking to people every day about where these companies are and what they're doing. And a lot of people I found in the very beginning didn't even really know where these fields were. So we put together some slides to show where Monsanto's presence is in Kihei. I don't know if you can see. Can you guys see this? No. Can we get some lights down, please? I'll talk and the lights will go off magically pretty soon. This is a Google Earth shot of the whole of Kihei. And there are 4 Monsanto fields. There are some handouts going around. I did not bring enough. So if you've seen this before, please pass it to a friend or share or something. There's 4 Monsanto fields in Kihei. This is the whole of Kihei right here. Yeah, so it's a pretty sizable operation. If you go to the next slide, this is the Mokulele Highway. This is like the base yard and the racetrack, and there's a huge field right in the middle of the sugarcane that's upwind and upstream from the wildlife refuge and Malaya Bay. So everything that goes on here is blown into the wildlife refuge and then into the bay. If you go to the next slide, this is as you're leaving Kihei to the Mokulele Highway. This is a field. A lot of people know that this field is here, but they just don't know how big it is. You can see obviously that the wind comes right into Kaiwahine and this whole neighborhood over here. There's another big field up Ohukai. And all of that water runs right into the ocean every time it rains. So if you go to the next slide, I've actually been advised that these wind patterns on this photo might not be accurate, so I'm going to kind of ad-lib. These were wind patterns taken from the Weather Service, but we all know on Maui that the wind patterns don't match what the Weather Service says. So anyway, this is the new Kihei police station right here, right? And look at the size of that field back there. You can't see this from the highway, but it's massive. And these winds may not blow over Kaunalei Elementary School. I think they might blow this way into this field, but on Kona days, these blow right up into Kula. So I'm going to have to revise this map as of today. I've got this information. So anyway, but the size of this field is massive. And the wind and the water all right into Kihei where we swim. So that's what we're talking about. On these handouts, Alika was referring to a spray schedule. Those of you who have it, please have a look. If not, you can find these on mauiunited.com. There's some photos of spray schedules. This is from one of the fields, one of the 4 fields. Alika was saying farmers will spray their field a couple times a month, right? If you look at the date and time stamps on this spray schedule, they're spraying 3, 4, 5 times a day. And there are circles around the chemicals that we know have been banned or really, really heavily regulated in other countries and other states even because of the damage they cause to our water table, to our soil, to our children. We're talking birth defects, infertility, learning disabilities. I could go on for days about the effects of this. And they're mixing these chemicals. Like I said, they use 3-4 times a day, right? The EPA, when they came to talk in front of the Maui County Council, they admitted in front of the whole county council that they have no idea what happens when you mix chemicals like this. And they don't even know how to test it. When you mix chemical A and chemical B, you get chemical C. And that's a whole other thing that deserves its own research and testing process that it's not going through right now. So please take this home or look up on mauiunited.com. This is up there and you can find the information. Look at it for yourself. So that's what's going on in Kihei. I wanted to speak a little bit to the actual wording of the law. Who in this room has read the law in full? The biggest favor you can do for this movement is to go home and read it, if you haven't. You can find it at mauiunited.com. You can find it at shakamovement.org. You can find it at voteyesmaui.org. It's all over the place. Read it. If you read the law, even if you don't hear anything else today, you will know that what they're saying on TV is a bold-faced lie. It asks for a temporary moratorium, a study period on the growth of genetically engineered seeds and the chemicals that are being tested on those seeds. We know from, on the back of this packet, you have some data that came from the state of Hawaii. The state of Hawaii has told us that out of the 852 farms that are operational in Maui and Molokai, only 1% of those even use GMO seed. So we're talking about 1% of farms that will be affected by this, and guess who owns those farms for the most part? Monsanto and Dow Chemical. So the guys who grow our food that we eat, even the sugarcane industry, pineapple, not even affected. It's not even written into the law. There's a couple other things that I get questions about all the time about how is this going to affect backyard farmers. What if I am growing food in my backyard and I accidentally have a GMO seed planted in my garden? Am I going to get in trouble? The answer to that is no, for a couple of reasons. GMO seed is not available to the public. You can't just by accident go to Home Depot and buy a GMO seed without knowing it. You have to be under contract, under agreement with one of these chemical companies to grow these seeds. So if you're growing a GMO seed, you know it. You've signed for it. And they're not available to the general public. So that's the first really big piece of information that you need to know. The second thing is, people ask me about papaya a lot. There is some contaminated papaya in probably every island on Hawaii. That's what happened. In the law, it uses the word knowingly very clearly. You have to knowingly be growing a GMO plant. And the law doesn't affect anything that is in mid-growth cycle when the law goes into effect. So if you happen to, unknowingly even, have a papaya in your yard and maybe there's a chance that it might be contaminated with a strain of GMO, it doesn't even apply because these are all for plants that are planted knowingly after the law goes into effect. Does that make sense to you guys? Yes? If it doesn't, I will say it again. Would you like me to say it again? Anybody? Okay, one more time. This is really important. The law says that it only applies to people who are knowingly growing GMO crops. So if you accidentally have a papaya in your yard that's been contaminated with a GMO strain, it doesn't apply to you, A. The second thing is the law only applies to plant seeds that go in the ground after the moratorium goes into effect. So if you have a GMO papaya in your yard that's growing right now, it's allowed to finish its life cycle. You can harvest all the fruit you want. Even the guys, Monsanto and Dow, can harvest all their GMO crops and sell them like they always do. So, you get that? Is everybody with me? Yeah. Okay, last point, and then I'm done. So, all this talk about having to give up 600 jobs, or the number keeps growing every time I hear, these jobs are not in danger. Even if we pass this law, I can tell you that these jobs are not in danger. I can tell you that because, for example, in a country like France, where GMOs are illegal. It is illegal to grow any GMOs in the country of France. Monsanto operates a multi-million-dollar business there. They grow non-GMO corn, non-GMO soy, all manner of hybrid vegetables So even if we pass this law, we've seen how countries that banned GMOs outright continue to employ staff that works for Monsanto and other chemical companies. So that threat, they're holding their employees as hostage or ransom so that they can avoid testing, is baloney. They don't have to fire anybody. Yeah, I think that's about it. Is there any other? Oh, I guess we're going to take questions after about the legalities. Okay, those are the 3 most common questions I get. Do you have any more questions about the law?
She's going to be here till the end and then take questions, hopefully.
Right on. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Autumn.
You guys are amazing for coming out. We are up against the biggest chemical companies on the planet, but they are no match for you guys. If we all stand on the same side, we weigh way more than they do. So,
and Autumn, so you can